Hello and welcome everyone to the newly rebranded podcast for everything and everyone solar, the Solar Recap. Considering that the last name didn't really roll off the tongue as much as I imagined it to be, I decided to rename all the pre-existing podcast episodes to make it easier to find them in the future. My name though is still Block Producer Sigma, and in today's recap I would like to present to you the changes that will inevitably come to Solar throughout the next couple of months that were presented in an updated white paper and roadmap. And since we are talking about white papers and roadmaps, I would urge you to grab yourselves either something to write or to eat and drink, since the information presented to you will be important and lengthy. So, without further ado, let's begin to dissect this blog post. At the beginning of the announcement, the Solar Foundation has once again pointed out that the swap portal has been closed down on the 30th of June and thanked the community for the lengthy journey throughout the more than a year-long swapping process over to Solar's native blockchain, aka the mainnet. On block 5 million, the protocol enforced restrictions upon the Solar swap wallet were lifted, and several transactions have been done since then. 31.2 million SXP have been transferred to a treasury contract. 975,000 SXP have been returned from the initial project funding. A user who wrongly deposited 1,899 SXP into the wallet was reimbursed, and KuCoin, the famous crypto exchange, was given a total of 1.8 million SXP due to a blacklisting of a wallet involved in the known KuCoin hack. The remaining funds were transferred to a cold wallet of the Solar Blockchain Foundation. Now you might ask yourselves why the Solar Foundation received the remaining SXP in the swap wallet instead of just burning the SXP for a short-term price appreciation. The reason behind this is a more complicated one that has its core back when Swipe, the old name of Solar, was handed over to the current team of the Solar Foundation. The former team surrounding the individual Joselito Lizarondo did not fulfill their commitment to establish a Solar growth fund that would have been needed for a long-term future of the Solar project. In regards to this break of trust, the Solar Foundation had to find a solution for this problem. The incorporation of the funds coming from unswapped SXP tokens throughout the 1.5-year period basically put the funds that were forgotten by previously disappointed community members by the old team into the hands of the new Solar Foundation that wants to use the funds to pay marketing initiatives, further development, operational expenses, and grants programs that would attract capital and minds alike throughout at least the next 5 years going forward. So there should certainly be no concerns about the team having greedy intentions regarding the newly acquired funds. The goals and spirits of the block producers, the development team, and the Solar Foundation are high, and I personally believe that the current structure and the newly released white paper and roadmap will most certainly, if followed strictly, like the recipe of a complicated dish, lead to a greater public appreciation of this project, which can likely result into financial appreciation as well. I say this since there have been some voices saying that they fear that this acquisition of funds were solely for personal financial gain of any individual even loosely in contact with the Solar Foundation, which is certainly not true. The longevity and security of the project stays above all. No developer, no voter, and no block producer should try to circumvent this, in my opinion. Besides that, the Solar Foundation has abolished the protocol-enforced development fee upheld and voted for by the block producers at that time. This change will result into a 10% decrease in the inflation of SXP. Note that the earnings of a block producer were not altered with that change. Then, the new white paper was officially mentioned while promising to keep it up to date to Solar's objectives throughout its developmental phase. A link with the entire white paper, which is 21 pages long by the way, can be found under the video inside the description box. Inside this white paper, you will certainly see a point of interest inside the document that will very certainly pique your interest. I am talking about the EVM, or in this case SVM, that has been in development since the start of 2023. For those you don't know, an EVM or Ethereum virtual machine lets you create smart contracts that can interact with Ethereum's blockchain and other Layer 1 blockchain competitors. This piece of software would function separately from the distributed ledger that we all know as the actual blockchain. Solar's version of such virtual machine will be built up for its own custom needs and will therefore be not a fork of pre-existing Ethereum execution clients such as Geth. Solar's virtual machine will instead run along Solar's blockchain and will incorporate every feature required to support tokens, NFTs, smart contracts, MetaMask compatibility, and any tools developed for Ethereum's ecosystem. Besides that, it will be made possible at the release of Solar Core version 5.0.0 to register usernames for wallets. Currently, a similar feature is available while registering a block producer, where you pay a fee in SXP to register a name for the block producer you are registering on the network. From version 5.0.0 going onwards, the transaction to register a block producer will be made a separate transaction type, besides the then newly implemented name registration transaction type. This feature can be used in future project ideas, where quick identification of wallets could be of crucial importance. Another neat part is that mistakes by typing in wallet addresses wrong into any Solar wallet product can be circumvented by giving a name to the sender. Corporate or personal entities inside Solar's ecosystem can choose to display their website and encrypted messaging apps via the name registration feature. The possibilities are endless, as the ideas of the people that would like to develop under such technical environment. The next point from the updated white paper was introducing a feature that is currently being worked on in a private repository. This feature will be called permissioned keys. It allows you to set up a custom private key that will have limited access to your wallet. That means that not only the security can be increased like that, but also will it make it much less likely for everyday users to forget their wallet access details. In my opinion, a failsafe for people that are bad at keeping documents on the spot like this is something that is needed in the blockchain industry, and I am happy that Solar took the initiative in that regard. The original mnemonic will still have all of its functionalities like before. To that comes the feature to register an endless amount of permissioned keys that can be, for example, used to share a wallet with family members and friends, where spending limits can be set for each individual permissioned key. The blog post continues with the Solar Foundation talking about their recent travel destinations that they have visited in their path to network and present themselves. First stop was Izmir, Turkey, where the Respect Trade Blockchain Summit was held on the 10th of June. Naeem Williams, Solar's project leader, gave a presentation about the imminent release of the Solar debit card, Solar Core 5.0, and District 53, which was well received throughout the attentive audience. Next stop was Tokyo, Japan, where the Solar Foundation was meeting with the Japanese exchange discussing the whitelisting of SXP. Since the Japanese market is notoriously difficult to get a foothold into, a green light to the whitelisting plans would be a massive step forward into this major world economy. The last stop on the journey was Seoul in the Republic of Korea, where a wide range of topics were discussed. One major topic, for example, was the travel rule, which is making it hard for members of the Korean Solar community to use their entire SXP funds for voting. Especially fruitful were the conversations with the renowned business service entity Heya Ventures, which greeted the Solar Foundation members with a great amount of hospitality. As experts of the international and local market dynamics, Heya Ventures will help to make Solar become a household name among the potential users and projects inside the Republic of Korea, and I personally can't wait for the outcomes of these talks. ICO Pantera, the acknowledged leaders of the Korean crypto community and its footprint on the blockchain arena, was also a pleasant and informative talking party, which is why they are deemed as another crucial part in Solar's strategic alliances. As a direct creation of Heya Ventures, ICO Pantera is a platform for crypto enthusiasts and influencers that will engage closely with the nation's blockchain community, providing potential for collaborations and growth for the ecosystem. Last but not least, there is the long-anticipated update about the Solar debit card that will be rolled out in less than a week's time from recording this recap. Planned is an initial concentrated release in Europe, followed shortly by the release in the US, Asia, and then the rest of the world. The first batch of Solar debit cards are expected to have been shipped by the end of this month, so keep an eye on your post boxes if you're from the EU, I guess. In the same period of time, the Solar Foundation will publish an app with which you will be able to interact with your Solar debit card, with more information coming in the near future. That's where the blog post ended, but not the good news for you, because one day later, on the 8th of July, the roadmap was updated inside the newly published whitepaper. In it, the roadmap is showcasing the progression of development on the Solar virtual machine. At the moment of publishment, the Solar Foundation expects the product to be ready at the end of this year and is currently refining the proof of concept into a polished and presentable product. Point 4 out of 6 points out of the roadmap contains reintegrating the SVM into Solar's core. In point 5 of the roadmap, the Solar Foundation will undergo heavy testing to test robustness, correctness, and security of the SVM. To fulfill the roadmap, the SVM will be published onto the public testnet so that everyone can be able to get a feel of the tools provided to you by the development team behind it. And that shall be it for information for today's episode. I'm certain that this might have been one of the more information-packed episodes I've published so far, so feel free to rewind the entire video a couple of times, take it easy, and listen to the things that have been explained throughout the video that you haven't completely understood. If you like the content that you have found on my channel, then feel free to leave a like under the video or a subscription of the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And besides that, I can only wish you a pleasant and productive day, and that I will see you under the next episode's comment section. Bye bye!